Why? One simple word that changes the way we see the world. When we were kids, we asked why about everything. But today, our curiosity has started to fade. Now the question is, why though?
Welcome to Why Though, the podcast about curiosity. I'm your host for this episode, Michael Kazura. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. And if you tuned into episode 1, welcome back. Episode 1 was really great. I'd recommend checking it out. Not before you finish this one, though. We've got a real treat for you today. Joining us is Lisa Yeung, former manager and co-editor-in-chief at HuffPost Canada, and current educator in the journalism program at Centennial College, teaching aspiring journalists like the team bringing you this podcast news reporting. Lisa's no stranger to the media landscape. She has more than 25 years of experience in digital journalism. Last semester, she was our professor, so no pressure. This is a real test. Let's see how much we learned. Hello, Lisa. Welcome to the Why Though podcast.
Hello, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so before we begin, rapid fire question.
Oh, okay.
English is the only language penguins can understand.
Oh, I've never heard that before.
Does it make you curious?
It does.
I just made that up.
Okay.
Okay. So if it doesn't make you curious, check yourself. I guess we should get in related to that. How have students changed in your experience over the years? Would you say they're more or less curious?
Good question. So I would say I've been teaching journalism for a relatively short period of time because I started at Centennial College in 2021. But I have been coaching young reporters and young journalists for several years during my time at HuffPost Canada. I would say if I think back to how young journalists were when I first started out versus how they are now, even how journalists were when I started out versus how they are now, I would say that I think there's more of a hesitation to do reporting in person. So there's more of a hesitation to ask questions of people, to approach them in person. I think there's more of a hesitation with, with making phone calls and doing outreach sort of via phone. So I think that's changed. But the other thing that I think has changed is that, you as young journalists really have so much information available at your fingertips, right?
I feel some type of way of making phone interviews. I'd rather meet in person. Email obviously is a weak way of interviewing someone, but
right. Yeah.
Phone interviews, I do get overly stressed.
Okay.
So do you think it is because of fear of being judged or something like that?
So I think your point about a fear of being judged for your generation is particularly relevant, because I think one of the things that, is markedly different with your demographic and maybe with the demographic before you versus, say, my demographic or boomers was, there's an omnipresence of social media, of people filming, of, the potential to be recorded at any given moment. So I can totally understand how, there would be this sort of latent fear of, being judged.
I definitely feel that most of this generation is overexposed to social media. So maybe that's why we're a bit uncomfortable when it comes to actually talking to someone.
Yeah, for sure.
I actually found that a 2015 Microsoft study on attention spans in digital media found that constant digital stimulation encouraged rapid information switching rather than sustained focus.
Right.
So with search engines and the new AI tools like ChatGPT and Meta, all of those, why do you think speed has become more valuable than a deeper understanding when students are searching for answers?
Oh my gosh, this is such a good question, and I think has many sort of facets to it. When I think about, let's say, I'll put it in the context of journalism students. I think that one of the core tenets of news is this idea that you're bringing new information to people that they haven't heard before, and that you're it's a bit of a feather in the cap of a news outlet if you can get to that news first, right? So if you can break a story first, then, I think that can be really well regarded, right? And so that, will kind of, I think, hasten the tendency to go for, quick info rather than like doing a deep dive.
Do you think we're less curious, like this generation?
So this is a good question too. If I were to base my answer on the students that I've taught throughout the years, I would say no. But I'm also, working with and being exposed to students who, because you are journalism students, you're just probably naturally curious, right?
Right.
So I think, I don't think that people are less curious necessarily. I think that it's just we're asking questions in different places these days, right? And I actually would maybe throw that question back to you and ask you as a young person, because I'm just sort of, making my my sort of conjecture based on what I'm observing.
Right.
But you're part of this generation. What do you think? Do you think people people in your cohort are less curious than they were before?
Yes. I think given that like people in this specific cohort are all enrolled in journalism, I do think most of us are curious.
Yes, I would agree.
At least to the level we should be as journalists. But in general, I do see a lot of my peers like not even questioning stuff that they're seeing on socials or anything, especially with the rise of AI and like these generated videos. I'm like, how are you believing that this dog is like there's oh my goodness. There's this video of these bunnies jumping on a trampoline.
Yes.
And I had my friend send it to me and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so funny and cute. I'm like, yeah, but it's AI, right? And he's like, no, it's not. And all the comments are saying like it's AI. So I really do think that there's some level of critical thinking or like lack of media literacy in this current generation.
So I think there is, something systemic in the fact that AI has just become so effective at, creating false newscasts and creating false videos and creating false bunnies. And I think that we as just a society, maybe not just your generation, but we as a society have not matched that progress with adequate education.
So veering back to education, a 2014 study from the University of California found that curiosity activates the brain's reward system and improves both learning and memory. So if curiosity is literally improving how our brains retain information, why do you think it's so central to critical thinking in education?
So, I mean, I think you've almost answered that question yourself in the information that you just shared with the question that you asked. So I think that critical thinking, curiosity is sort of implicit in critical thinking, right? Because it's asking you to not take information at face value. So similar to the example that we talked about with your friend and the bunnies. So, curiosity, I think, goes hand in hand with critical thinking and with deeper learning. You, as the journalists of tomorrow, or the journalists of today, the young journalists of today, have just access to so much more information than we had, when I was first starting out. And I think that can really enrich the reporting that you do. So, as an example, your ability to access background information to provide context for your stories, you can do that now, so much more quickly, right? I think that your generation has a probably more of a familiarity and more of a comfort with tools like AI. So you can find the right ways to, use it so that it helps you be more efficient, but you're also staying true to, these journalistic standards. There's no robot replacement yet for, knock on wood, for, reporters being out in the field and talking to people and interviewing people. And I think that, there's a real value in human connection.
If you could give people one small habit to help them stay curious every day, what would it be?
Oh, so good. Such a good question. This is maybe going to sound a little bit antithetical, but I think what I would suggest is to make sure that you give your brain a break every day. That can be, just putting your phone in another room, going out for a walk without your phone, going for a walk with a friend of yours, where you guys are actually like having conversation. It can be 10 minutes of meditating. It can be just 10 minutes of being quiet, being still with nothing, nothing on in the room, no TV, no screens.
I think that's pretty great advice, given that my generation's like always on their phone.
Right.
So, taking a break is definitely necessary.
Do you do that? Do you take breaks?
No.
Regularly? No?
No. I should, but like realistically, I view phone time as my downtime.
Okay.
So, obviously I'm not constantly on my phone when I'm like have free time. I like go out to the gym with friends, whatever. But when I am at home for the most part and I'm not doing work or anything, I am like doom scrolling on my phone. Yeah. I
know. And it's so easy. And, I think we need to be cognizant of the fact that, again, these platforms, the hardware that we have, all of it is designed to keep our attention, right? And, I think it's important for us to realize that, we own our attention, and our attention is very valuable. Like, it's valuable for, news outlets, it's valuable for social media, but we are the owners of our attention. So you get to choose how your time and how your energy and where your focus goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. That's all I have for you. So thank you so much for joining us. And
thank you, Michael.
Giving
and
us
thank you,
an
everybody.
educator's perspective.
Hope it was helpful.
Very
it was great
helpful.
to talk to you.
Yeah, it was great.
Thanks for having me.
I would now like to ask the listeners, what is one thing that you've always wanted to know but never took the time to research? For me, I always wanted to know how hot air balloons work. Well, that is a wrap for episode 2. If you haven't already, check out episode 1 with our guest Joan Melanson. Be sure to follow our Instagram account for updates and activities at @whythough_curiositypod. This is Michael Kazura from Why Though, signing off. And remember to be curious.